Part of a 5-match homestand, Ryan Martin and Loudoun United welcome Paulo Nagamura and the Swope Park Rangers to Segra Field here in Leesburg, Virginia. Tonight's broadcast is presented by none other than Segra. Tyler Terrence, along with former MLS goalkeeper as well as U.S. men's international star Tony Meola. And we have what should be a terrific 90 minutes ahead of us in the DMV area as this Loudoun United side is looking to get back in their winning ways after what was a great 4-0 win against North Carolina FC. Have dropped their last two. Meanwhile, for Swope Park Rangers, they're playing for some magnificent football. And Tony, when you take a look at these two sides, it's odd for both. Swope Park Rangers, it's going to be the first season that they probably miss out on the postseason. For Loudoun United in their inaugural season, it hasn't been great, but both of these teams so young, so much to play for heading down the stretch.
Yeah, Tyler, this is a great opportunity for both of these managers, as you mentioned, Ryan Martin and Paulo Nagamura, going with the young sides here. It's an opportunity to build for the future. We've seen some positive stuff here from Swope Park over the last 3 games. They'll be happy with that. There'll be some questions about where that was the entire season, but no doubt an opportunity for both managers to take a look at young players. We're going to see some youth international players in this game tonight. It'll be an exciting night for them. It'll be an opportunity for them to prove to their manager moving forward, I want to be part of the 11. I want to be part of this squad as we continue to grow as a team.
And the last time that these two sides met, all the way back on June 5th, it was an electric 90 minutes. It started out with Kyle Murphy getting the opening goal. Then after that, every single player to score was 21 years or younger. Griffin Yao would end up getting a goal as well. Felipe Hernandez had this terrific strike, but it would end up being Loudoun United on the road getting the last laugh at Children's Mercy Park. But it just had a great feel to it the entire match.
Yeah, and they left it late, and you mentioned the youngsters getting goals, and that's obviously exciting for both managers, both clubs. You want to build for the future, and it was late on the road at Children's Mercy Park, but nonetheless, Loudoun came out on top, and it was a good night for them, no doubt about it, and an exciting night for the fans.
Connor Presley capped it off in the 87th minute with the game winner. You saw Wilson Harris grabbing one as well, and Wilson Harris has been integral in this Swope Park Rangers streak of a 3-match clean sheet run, and they have just been playing some really solid defensive football. Actually, speaking to Ryan Martin about it, he said that this Swope Park side has just been sitting in a little bit deeper than normal and hitting on the counter, as well as a lot of possession-based football.
Well, it's a novel idea that you always want to go forward. You want to throw numbers forward. You want to score goals. You want to be attractive in the way that you play, but sometimes you expose yourself. And as things aren't working out, you've got to make things solid defensively, and that's exactly what Swope Park Rangers have done over the last 3 games.
And they've done it against some quality sides as well, North Carolina FC as well as the Charleston Battery. And most recently, along their victim trail, was the Charlotte Independent. Swope Park Rangers looking to keep a very solid run going. Loudoun United looking for something to cheer about at home in Leesburg. It's Loudoun at Swope Park when we come back. Almost ready for kickoff here in Leesburg as Natalie Simon leads her crew, as well as both the Swope Park Rangers and Loudoun United, out onto the field at Segra. Tyler Terrence along with Tony Meola, thank you so much for tuning in this midweek madness in the USL Championship in the Eastern Conference. And we'll take a look at these starting 11s, beginning with the home side and Ryan Martin. And tonight's lineups are brought to you by the National Conference Center. A few changes for Ryan Martin and Loudoun United, Tony.
Yeah, 7 changes to be exact here, Tyler. And Ryan Martin goes with Collie Brown in goal, the 27-year-old. Thibaut Dewey will start as the captain as the right back. Hunter Gorski just signed this week. The well-traveled 28-year-old gets his first start for Loudoun. Here in the midfield, a few youngsters looking forward to seeing Griffin Yao, the 16-year-old, and Nelson Martinez, another U.S. Youth International. The 18-year-old will start out right. Elvis Amo, the lone striker up top for Ryan Martin's side.
And meanwhile, on the other side for the Swope Park Rangers, we've mentioned how solid they've been over the past 3 matches. Not as many changes, but still some changes for Paulo Nagamura.
Yeah, Max Trio starts for Pablo Nagamura. That side that beat Charlotte, get their first away win last week. Max Trio, the 17-year-old, gets his opportunity. 3 of the back 4 stay the same. Jalen Lindsay, the U.S. Youth International, one of those. Luis Oliveira, the 20-year-old Argentinian, will start at left back. Was Kuzain got a goal last week. Wilson Harris, as you mentioned in the open, 2 goals, will play alongside Mark Segbers.
And Mark Segbers, who's more than capable of playing along the back line in that outside back position as well as up top, is going to be joining Wilson Harris and Tucker Lepley, the 17-year-old from the Charlotte area. As Swope Park are just about ready to go here in the DMV area as Callie Brown takes his spot in between the sticks. And we'll take a look at the injury report, which is brought to you by Ortho Virginia. Nothing to report for Loudoun. Meanwhile, on the other side for Swope Park Rangers, a couple of the usuals for the past few weeks for Paulo Nagamura, as Loudoun United are going to be in their black, red, and black kits. Swope Park Rangers in their all whites. Loudoun United moving from left to right. Swope Park from right to left. We invite you to turn off the world and turn on the game as Natalie Simon officially gets us underway from Segra and from Leesburg, Virginia. Again, Tyler Terran sitting 2.5 centimeters to my right is none other than Tony Miola. Very excited for the 90 minutes that we have ahead of here tonight, as the Stampede providing the acoustics, a terrific support group for Loudoun United. And Ryan Martin saying that the game against Bethlehem was obviously very frustrating, especially considering the quick start that they got off to in the opening 2 minutes. But Brendan Burke's boys over at Talent Energy put on quite the show in the second half, as Loudoun United have more than a few instances of a lack of intensity, a lack of focus, and those seem to be the buzzwords in our conversation with Ryan Martin leading up to this game.
Yeah, and Tyler, when you have a young side, you have to expect some of those things, and that's part of the growing pains. You're going to play young players. They have to kind of feel their way. Sometimes it's a bit of naivety when you go in a game and you want to just throw players forward. Sometimes you just tune out of the game for just a split second. At the professional level, you're going to pay in those moments, and I think that's what Ryan Martin has seen. But again, you go back, you look at videotape, you talk about the momentum of games and how you manage those, and that's what you learn as a young player. That's what separates the young guys from the experienced pros.
Jalen Lindsay got his best ball into the penalty area, and the first touch of the night for Callie Brown. Former Virginia Cavalier releases Elvis Amo on the other end. Tries to put the brakes on, but broken up by Akhmatov. And Swope Park will keep it, much to the delight of Paulo Nagamura in his second season in charge of the Swope Park side.
See early on here for Loudoun putting some pressure on is Swope Park, as we know, is a team that likes to build out of the back. They like to find these pockets of space and try and get forward. Good job here of building through the middle third of the field.
Here's Hernandez from distance trying to pull off similar to what he did against Loudoun United all the way back on June 5th. And there is Paulo Nagamura. Obviously had a terrific playing career and is following that up with a very solid coaching career as well. But unfortunately for Swope Park, barring a miraculous comeback and a miraculous collapse from the teams above them, are not going to make the postseason this year, the first time in their existence after really dominating either the West Conference or the Eastern Conference, depending on where they were in the given year. But a lot to look forward to for this Swope side, especially considering the run that they have been on. And really, Tony, we talk about the youth of these two sides, but especially towards the end of the season, you talked about wanting to be in the 11, wanting to get another contract. But if you can put together a great stretch at the end of the season, there's going to be a lot of players who are going to stick around.
Yeah, there's no doubt. And this team's probably been hurt a little bit by what's happened with Sporting Kansas City and their injuries the entire season. How many players they've had to call up. There was one point Sporting, the first team had, I believe, 17 people on the training table, and now you're using these players. So what it does, it gives those players that get called up an opportunity, but now you're taking players away from this group as well, which hurts the rhythm of your team.
Here's Bustamante on the other end. Good ball in for Griffin Yao. Yao tried to let it go, blocked by Akhmatov. Gordon Wild, was he fouled in the penalty area? Natalie Simon had a front row view to it. She's not interested. And then most likely a foul committed by Loudoun United. Indeed it is.
Well, I think Jalen Lindsay may have gotten away with one here. Dangerously goes down, slides in the box trying to poke a ball away. And you see as it squirts out here, does he get a piece? Yeah, I think he did get away. Gordon Wild looked like he was first to it. Have another look here. Yeah, Jalen Lindsay doesn't touch it. Seems to catch Gordon Wild on the right foot. Referee doesn't make the call.
Jalen Lindsay, just 19 years old. Gordon Wild has done well since coming over to Loudoun United. Got them off to an early start against Bethlehem in the first 2 minutes, but they rampant goal-scoring flurry from Brendan Burke's boys were enough for a 5-2 win at Talent Energy between two geographical rivals. Gorski can't get there. A great sliding challenge put in. Here's Segbers on the other end. Juan Kuzain had his first goal of the season against Charlotte last week, in addition to a Wilson Harris brace. There's Luis Oliveira coming over from River Plate in Argentina, just 20 years of age. And then Riley. Oliveira has it taken away by Elvis Samo. All the way back to fulfilling his defensive responsibilities. Nice little sidestep there.
Good tracking back there, but that's not where you want your advanced players to have to defend. But good effort by Amo. Now can he get forward in this transition here?
Along for the 16-year-old Griffin Yao. 3 goals on the season, but hasn't scored since early June. Yao trying to get it right back from Andrew Loudoun. A sidestep from Juan Kuzain, and that gets the attention of our head referee, Natalie Simon.
So those first couple of touches from Griffin Yao. He's a young player that's come through the youth national team system. Every time I watch him play, whether it's there, whether it's here with Loudoun, he just seems to have a joy for the game. And the most fun he has is when he's on the ball, and that's when he's the most exciting to watch as well. There's such a bright future for this young kid, and hopefully he can continue to develop here and get into that first team on a full-time basis. I'm sure that's what DC United fans are hoping for as well. But he's a kid that he's one of those sort of special players that has a different way of looking at the game when he has the ball at his feet, and that's what makes him exciting.
Just more on a macro level, when he was asked about being just such a young player to be signed by DC United, obviously the second youngest ever compared to Freddie Adu, and I don't know if anybody's going to break that record, but he just said he didn't want to be like the other homegrowns. He didn't want to be like the other young signings. He wanted to play right away, and you know, this is a great opportunity here for him in Loudoun. Maybe not getting reps every single week with DC United, but getting these reps with Loudoun United has obviously helped in his progression. And like you said, Tony, you know, Ryan Martin just gushes about him and his work ethic week in and week out in training.
Yeah, so important to get minutes. And I don't care what level you're playing at. I say this all the time. You're better as a young player playing full-time in a lower-level team instead of sitting on the bench all the time and never getting any meaningful minutes. And I think that's what the USL has provided young players all across this league, is an opportunity to get on the field and get better day in and day out.
Mark Segbers going to take on Elvis Samo. Akhmatov. Juan Kuzain let it run through. Felipe Hernandez able to control it. The foul is called. Juan Kuzain was hoping that advantage was going to be played. And the foul's called against Nelson Martinez, 17-year-old from Woodbridge, Virginia. A dangerous set piece, especially with the likes of Juan Kuzain and Felipe Hernandez on the field, two outstanding ball strikers. And remember, we talk to any coaches that are taking on Swope Park Rangers, they always point out how they're a danger from distance. Particularly both number 85 and 75, and Hernandez and Kuzain specifically. It'll be Kuzain, little knuckler, but Callie Brown able to handle it with relative ease.
Yeah, good job by Callie Brown here. Oftentimes when that ball bounces 2-3 yards in front of you, of course on AstroTurf tonight, so the bounce isn't nearly as tricky, but of course, you know, there's one of those you might fumble, and that's why you've got two runners in front of the goalkeeper. He does a real good job of keeping that clean.
Gorski making his Loudoun United debut. A header from Rad all the way back from Max Trejo, who's making just his second professional appearance tonight. His only other appearance in between the sticks was a 4-3 loss against Bethlehem. Not exactly an ideal debut, but he's hoping for a better return here tonight. Swope Park Rangers coming again. Very good pace to this in the opening 8 minutes. A lot of contact from Griffin Yao, but no foul called by Natalie Simon. To Loudoun.
Maybe a touch too much there from Lepley. He did have Jalen Lindsay to his right. Now he's got to retreat here in transition.
Swope Park retreating again. It's Elvis Amo this time. Amo trying to get to the outside. He's going to be the one that ends up committing the foul. Good defensive play there from Luis Oliveira, who is very in tune to what, it's actually going to be called.
Wow.
Against Swope Park.
Yeah.
Wow.
I thought there was pretty good defending here by Oliveira. As Mo was making this run, he pushes it by Oliveira, and he gets his body in front of him. He cuts off his path, is what you're taught to do as a defender. And Mo had his arms wrapped around him here and drew that foul.
It's Gordon Wild on the set piece on the other end, so two very good chances in prime real estate for either side in the past 120 seconds or so. That's Trejo organizing the wall for Swope Park. It's a five-man wall for Swope, 6 if you include Elvis Amo. It's Gordon Wild, not a bad effort. In fact, it's a terrific effort from Gordon Wild again, who gets Loudoun United off to an incredible start. Wonderful set piece, and the home side leads it 1-0.
Well, we had a real good look from that angle. Gordon Wild had that far post. The young goalkeeper, Max Trejo, sets his wall up exactly where it needs to be. It may have been caught too far to center in this one here. But give credit to Gordon Wild. He absolutely hits this one with pace, with power. Max Trejo may have slipped just a bit. You see that little stutter step to his left, and that's what throws a goalkeeper off, because you no longer can get explosion to the side you want to dive to. Gordon Wild buries that one, an absolute rocket.
5th goal this season for the German, who was waived by Atlanta on July 17th, picked up almost immediately by DC United. And a precarious look from Paulo Nagamura of Swope Park Rangers as the visitors give up their first goal in more than 3 games. So the clean sheet run comes to an end, and Loudoun United once more threatening here. Another effort and a terrific save from Trejo. Parries it away. Jalen Lindsay tries to get to it. Griffin Yao circling back around, lobs it in. Elvis Amo was there, but it's over his head and out of play. And almost just like that, it was 2-0 in favor of Loudoun.
Trejo does a very good job as this ball slipped through here. A nice through ball played in. Splits 2 defenders. Max Trejo quick down to his right as Loudoun had a good look at goal here. Griffin Yao eventually tries to bend this one into the far post there, looking for Amo. It goes wide, but a good ball again played in, threading in between 2 center backs.
Felipe Hernandez with all sorts of skill, but can't connect the pass. Good play from Pivo Due to cut it out. Also Martinez fouled from behind. Great to see from Trejo, though, just 17 years of age, gives up the goal, and then immediately following makes an outstanding play.
Yeah, you always talk about the reaction for goalkeepers after they give a goal up, and it doesn't matter what the circumstances are, especially as a young goalkeeper. You've got to quickly put it behind you and worry about the next play. There's nothing you can do about the last one. It's outstanding there on that half breakaway with defenders.
Now a good ball. Loudoun again has to cut it back. A bit too heavy there. Jalen Lindsay cleans it up, but only as far as Due. United will recycle. A dozen minutes gone by. Gordon Wild with the opening goal and another early lead for Loudoun. Something that Ryan Martin had talked to his team earlier in the year about, getting off to quicker starts, not only scoring goals on their own, but avoiding conceding early goals. They've done just that. Now, what do they do with the early lead is the question.
You know, early goals sometimes, Tyler, are difficult to manage in regards to you now all of a sudden want to change game plans. You know, you get an early goal scored against you, you look at it and say, well, we really haven't had time to get into our game plan. And we really have everything we worked on all week. Do we really change after 10 minutes because we haven't found a rhythm in the game yet? You know, it's really difficult, especially as young players, to kind of trust what you were doing the entire week, because the first reaction is, okay, we need to change now, right? But you still have 80 minutes to go. You've got a long time to manage the game, and I would imagine this group under Paulo Nagamura, knowing the player that he was, you know, they'll continue to try and play out of the back. They won't rush things, but that sometimes is the tendency for young players.
Well, we were saving this, but with the early Loudoun goal, it doesn't hold that much water anymore, but still a solid streak nonetheless. Only 2 other times that Swope Park had gone on a streak of more than 3 games without conceding a goal. 2017 was part of a 7-game winning streak, and that was one of the 2 years that they got to the USL Cup final, when it was called the USL Cup final back then. And of course, 2016, it was the last 3 regular season games in addition to their opening round of the playoffs. Obviously has put on a very solid defensive performance over the past month or so.
I think where those numbers become important when you look at a stretch in the season, can you put 2 or 3 strings like that together, right? Where you have a chunk of points that you can gain at the same time, and if you're able to do that, you know, you always have an opportunity. You're always in that part of the season, you know, and you're gaining points and you're catching people ahead of you, and you're also building confidence in your defense.
Douay for Griffin Yao, back to goal. Hounded by Jalen Lindsay. Akhmatov comes away with it. Yao committed a foul, but the referee says play on. Now it's along for Jalen Lindsay, the 19-year-old, surveying his options. Tucker Lepley now, 17-year-old with a strike, and it's just out of the reach of Callie Brown on the far post. A good transition from Swope Park on the offensive side of the ball.
When we go back a couple minutes here where Lepley, on this exact type of breakout, had Jalen Lindsay outright. He decided to dribble. This time he plays it wide and gets it back here. Here's where they win it and go in transition. He plays this one wide, opens up the game for himself. Nelson Martinez has to come from the middle of the field to get wide, and now he has a look at goal. Pretty good strike, just off target. It looked like Callie Brown had it covered.
Yeah, a bit direct. Andrew Loudoun cleared away by Kave Rad. Gordon Wild. Like it was intended for Bustamante, and it ends up being Gorski who cleans it up.
Swope Park in a deeper block now. All 11 players behind midfield, not pressuring the center backs.
Douay teasing ball in, difficult to deal with for Riley. Gordon Wild trying to line it up. Riley atoning for his sins, gets fouled. And coming out the other way. Tony, to your point earlier about the stretches, unfortunately for Swope Park, there's really 2 stretches that you can point to for their demise this season. A 7-match losing streak from July 20th until September 7th, and an 8-match winless streak from May 11th to June 22nd. Other than that, they have put together some decent results. You talk about the Charleston Battery draw, North Carolina win, able to shut out Dave Sarakin's side. But if you have 15 games where you're not getting a point, or you're not getting 3 points, it's going to be difficult to sort of turn it around and try to at least make a push for the postseason.
Yeah, there's no doubt. Those are the streaks you want to avoid. No question about it. But that first streak, that first set of games kind of correlates with what happened with the first team and all the injuries they had. So now, early in the season, when you're trying to build things, now all of a sudden you get players pulled away. It's really, really difficult for the manager, and they've been able to hold it together here. Now that they've had their full complement of players, they've been much better the last couple of weeks.
Gordon Wild whips one in. Elvis Amo trying to bring it down. He's able to do so, trying to turn Riley, but the shot doesn't have nearly enough pace on it. Easy enough for Trejo. Much similar to the meeting back on June 5th. Both of these sides playing rather expansive football at times. I think Loudoun with a 1-0 lead. Happy to let Swope Park have this possession of their own defensive third.
Patience here by Swope Park, getting into that middle third of the field, finding little pockets of space. They look comfortable on the ball so far. With a clear idea of what they're trying to do. They've now broken this pressure that was a little higher a few passes ago.
And Elvis Amo coming back and winning the ball, but gives it right to the feet of Luis Oliveira. Good strength, chips one in. Brown is there. And good communication between he and Colin Verfurth.
Good body control by Oliveira to make that turn. Unfortunately, can't pull that cross a little bit further away from Callie Brown. He does a good job of going up and cleanly handling it again.
Zane dropping deep to receive the ball for Swope. Like an outlet in Riley. Segbers. He's stepping to Cave Ran, so he'll take the space in front of him. Takes it over the top, but a bit too heavy. And it's Callie Brown who comes and retrieves it.
Swope got into some pretty good areas and a little bit impatient in the end, trying to play a through ball over the top. But the first two phases of building up were pretty good. Zane stepped into that little pocket and allowed him to get into that secondary part of the attack. We'll see if Loudoun can put a couple passes together here.
Colin Verfurth and Harry Hawkins at the center back pairing for Ryan Martin, but it's Verfurth and Shane Witt just making his second appearance, and he was part of that dreadful 5-1 loss against Hartford, which Ryan Martin deemed as just a one-off, but really had hoped that one of the older guys had helped everybody and stopped the bleeding early on before they gave up 3 goals in about 15 minutes. As Akhmatov lets this go, takes a deflection. Callie Brown can't get there. And a corner kick coming up for the visitors.
Well, Akhmatov turned in that middle third of the field. He took a couple dribbles forward. The defense just continued to retreat. He said, looking at goalkeeper, let me have a go. Earns himself a corner kick here. It's good rhythm to the game so far. Both teams playing with a little bit of spirit. Obviously, Loudoun being at home, they pressured a little bit earlier, a little bit higher earlier in the game, but Sporting has now settled into it a bit more.
Mostly man marking for Loudoun United. Corner whipped in. Brown stays home. A lot of contact there. Natalie Simon saw it and looks to give a corner. Andrew Loudoun can't believe it, but he had a handful of Mark Sekera's shorts.
He had some shorts in his hand there. I was about to say the same thing, and I think both players are probably holding on to each other. They're difficult for a referee to make a call there.
Felipe Hernandez on this one. Curls it in. Brown again stays home. Headers away. Only as far as Oliveira. Wants to put it on frame, but slipped in doing so. Akhmatov wins the header, but Griffin Yao, look at that positive touch into space. Still going, but Akhmatov with a good recovery.
You see there, Griffin Yao, the intention's always to get forward. Recognized where he was. Good job by Akhmatov to recover. Griffin Yao thought he had pretty good steal here.
Griffin Yao just pleading his case to the assistant referee, although it's not going to be heard. Martinez, Sekera's on his back, goes back for Callie Brown.
Again, good patience here by Sporting, trying to get out this left-hand side. There was nothing there. They'll redo it. Go back. Juan Kazane will try and build out of the back. They've pushed Loudoun back here a little bit. Jalen Lindsay, as we know, as a player, is always high up the field. And it's always about transition defending when the ball turns over. Ryan Martin talked about that. That might be an area they can exploit, but Jaden Lindsay, had him with the national team along with some of these other players. Every time we did running, everyone said, don't put me in Jalen Lindsay's group. He's not the guy I want to, the kid runs forever. So he knows the moments he gets forward, he knows he can get back, has the energy always to make that 60, 70-yard transition run.
Riley fouled by Gordon Wild, and Loudoun United becoming more and more frustrated with the calls, but seemingly the right ones from Natalie Simon as Lindsay just stabs this towards the corner flag. Good play from Hunter Gorski. Coming over from the 2nd division in Denmark. And before that, of course, was with the Tampa Bay Rowdies. Bustamante. Wild sees Griffin Yao. Puts it down with a feathery first touch. Driving at Lindsay. Now stops on a dime, but double team came from Tucker Lepley.
Griffin now always trying to do something positive, as we talked about there. There becomes a balance at some point, right? At what point do you play it simple just to continue to keep the flow of the game going? And by doing that, now you get other players involved in the game. It's not always 1v1, and that's the balance he's eventually going to have to find. And as he continues to play in these games, he will find that balance. His teammates will let him know that balance. He'll be able to look up. And the most important thing for young players, I think, that are cut into sort of the mold that he is, where you want to get forward all the time, is to see all three levels of the field. See everything in front of you, see that medium range pass, and now also be able to see, as we see some wrestling here in the middle of the field, be able to see that long distance pass as well. You know, get your head up, and now you play all three levels of passes. And Griffin Yao, as he grows into this thing, he's got the one thing that's really difficult, and that's that skill 1v1 to take players on, and that imagination. The rest of that will come.
First to go all the way back for Callie Brown. Local product, actually born in Leesburg. No Carlos Alvarez for United tonight, as he is serving his suspension. Part of what was 3 games in a row, Loudoun United received a red card. And the funny part about it is that when we asked Ryan Martin, he said, well, I'd actually talked to my staff about how incredible it was that we hadn't received a red card before the streak began.
He gave himself the jinx there,
yep.
Right? They were doing so well, keeping 11 players on the field. But he did mention most of those were avoidable, right? And again, it's part of the learning process for young players. And they experience all of it.
Wild onside, but stumbles over the ball right when the moment asked the most of him.
The ball seemed to check up on him on the AstroTurf, got caught underneath his feet. You can see the ball played over the top. Good ball, good timing. Rod gets caught on the wrong side of him and then gets bailed out by Gordon Wild tripping over the ball.
Foul from Loudoun. Segra, with its industry-leading customer service and one of the East Coast's largest fiber networks, is powering organizations of all sizes with state-of-the-art voice, data, and internet services. Whether you're a municipality, a large business, or a fledgling startup, Segra knows you can't afford to be down. Their fast, reliable, and secure solutions keep you up and running and ahead of the pack. Riley finds Segbers. Wilson Harris thought about it. Drags it onto his left. Felipe Hernandez is tripped up. We'll have a good set piece coming up for Swope Park.
Amo here again gets caught on the wrong side, and Hernandez feels the pressure, goes down. As he had the ball at his feet, he didn't have options as he turned and faced his own goal. He stopped. Takes the pressure here. You see him, he turns, he gets away from Amo, gets his body in between the ball and the defender, draws a foul here. Good opportunity for Swope. There's a lot of space in between that 6-yard box right in the middle of the goal and that penalty spot to serve a ball into.
It's Hernandez, and it's just on the wrong side of the near post. Almost had 2 sensational free kicks to open up the scoring here.
Hernandez was having none of the runners in the box. The captain has a look, tries to squeeze this one in near post. Kelly Brown looked like he may have had it covered, or maybe not after that look, but good opportunity and a good effort. Felipe Hernandez there.
So clever with the ball, Felipe Hernandez, and get rewarded for his efforts on August 30th, signing a Sporting Kansas City contract. As this one is cut out by Oliveira.
Once again, a smart play by Hernandez there. He recognizes that there's not much going forward. Just try and draw a foul here, protect the ball, get my body between the ball and the defender.
Referee was right in front of that one, but did not feel like Shane Wick committed the foul. Griffin Yao onside into the penalty area. Yao stops, still with it. Able to poke it back. Elvis Samo, the trailing run, but sends it up and over the Stampede.
This is very good transition here from Loudoun. Referee doesn't make a call here in the middle third of the field. Immediate ball played into Griffin Yao. Good run in between two defenders. There was a call for offside from the back four for Swope Park. Griffin Yao keeps it alive, and can't be steered on frame, but a good opportunity for Loudoun. Mo had his opportunity with his less preferred left foot.
Ave Rad, the big diagonal ball broken up by Hunter Gorski, but only as far as Luis Oliveira, the Argentinian. Segbers, a terrible idea. Wilson Harris, though, couldn't get to it. Hernandez got the ball away, but Hunter Gorski knew exactly where he was going with it. Foul was committed by Oliveira.
We had initially thought coming into this game that Mo would play as the lone striker here, and he's been out on this right-hand side and he's had to do a lot of tracking back defensively because Oliveira's gotten so high up the field.
It looks like it's Andrew Loudoun that's fulfilling that number 9 role, and it's usually Loudoun who's out on the wing, so Ryan Martin seemingly wanted to mix things up a little bit.
It's an opportunity to see players playing different positions. See if they can get comfortable in one or two different spots.
All the way back for Trejo. Gordon Wild providing the pressure. Trejo just gets it away. But to nobody in a white jersey, Griffin Yao couldn't handle it. A bit too much steam on that one.
Again, part of that learning process. How much can you handle with regards to pressure if you're the goalkeeper? Do you really want to be cutting in, getting it on your left foot, your less preferred foot, now trying to cut one into the middle of the field? And you're going to have to make mistakes at some point, Tyler, to learn sort of the threshold of how far you can go with those types of plays. And it's been a big topic of discussion in the modern game about goalkeepers playing with their feet. You need to be efficient and proficient in doing it. But if you don't get out on the field, you never really know at full speed what it looks like.
Gordon Wild thought about the big ball, thinks better of it. Firth. Throw the ball for Elvis Samo. Heavy first touch, broken up by Segbers. Bustamante had his pass cut out by Felipe Hernandez. Wilson Harris now gives it right back.
Good recovery there by Bustamante. He and Nelson Martinez in the middle field have quietly had a pretty good game. Nelson Martinez, a guy that's not going to dribble by you. Another youth national team player, very technically very good with the ball. Good soccer IQ.
Speaking of youth national team, there are a number of Loudoun United regulars that are not available for Loudoun, because the U16 national camp in San Diego just let out, and a number of players, Moses Nyman, Jerry Garay, actually just got back to the Leesburg area last night. And Ryan Martin decided to give them a rest as a player down for Loudoun.
And Nelson Martinez took a shot after he released that pass. It was a little bit short. Ball's played in here to Nelson right after the touch here. Follow through by Akhmatov. Just catches Martinez.
It is Akhmatov who's shown a yellow card here in the 34th. have the first to go into the book tonight. As Nelson Martinez will get the appropriate treatment.
They did catch Martinez. I don't know that there was much intent in trying to go through the player. It looked like he was trying to make a play on the ball, but just a step too late. Ryan Martin will be happy with the way the rhythm of the game has gone for his team so far. Clearly happy with the goal. He should be happy in transition. Had that opportunity with Griffin Yao breaking the back four. He's had some opportunities at goal.
Martinez will limp off to a nice round of applause here at Segrup. Thoughts on the first 34 minutes or so?
I think if you're, as I just mentioned, if you're Loudoun and Ryan Martin, you're happy. You're happy you're up 1-0. You're happy that your team has looked comfortable on the ball. You're happy that you've created some opportunities. And if you're Swope Park Rangers and Pablo Nagamura, I think you need more in the final third of the field. I understand you want to build through all three portions of the field. They've gotten into that middle third of the field fairly easy. They've been comfortable there. Now, can they hold it up long enough to get players involved in the attacking third of the field? They haven't been able to do that. They have the opportunity on the free kick, but I think they'd like to see just a little bit more in the flow of the game. All in all, though, I think both managers would be pretty happy with their team's performances. Of course, you're going to go through this, and you can nitpick every part of the game, and there are also a lot of positives here so far that we've seen in the first 36 minutes or so.
Gordon Wild gets it right back, driving forward with a lot of intent here. Gets it along for Griffin Yao. Yao will go for the curler. Not a half bad effort.
Again, a moment there. Even though Griffin Yao takes a shot, you saw the runners in front of him, and you'll see him as he cuts to the left side of the box here. You'll see on the right side, he also has options. This ball starts with Gordon Wild, gets played in. You see all the black jerseys to the right here, so making some good runs. There's another one coming in on the right side of your screen, so you're holding it up long enough that you can get people involved in the attacking third of the field.
Hussein again quarterbacking the Swope Park attack. Riley. Oliveira, not a bad idea for Segbers. Around the keeper. Was he fouled by Callie Brown? Yes, he was. Natalie Simon points to the penalty spot. And Swope Park will have an opportunity from 12 yards away to equalize.
Boy, Segbers gets behind his back four, but it's all about the ball played in here. Luis Oliveira sees the opportunity. Segbers sees the run, and he bends it around Hunter Gorski. Callie Brown comes out. He's a bit late getting there. You see the clip on the heel, and there's no doubt Segbers read the goalkeeper coming out, pushed it around him, didn't try and get out of the way. So he was recognizing the pressure, and Wilson Harris will step up here and try and equalize this at 1.
Harris has been the main man. And he does it again for Swope Park. Wilson Harris, 4 goals in 3 games. And we're all level in the 38th.
Composed penalty kick here from Wilson Harris. As you mentioned, he's been their top threat the last couple of games. Callie Brown, nothing he can do. He goes to his left. Wilson Harris goes to his right. As calm as you like. Takes a look at the goalkeeper. Doesn't try and do too much with it. Reads the goalkeeper going one way. He goes the other way to tie this up at 1. But this goal could be an assist on this one to Luis Oliveira based on that ball he played around that back four. Now moving forward, do we see a little bit more of that maybe from Swope Park? Did they see something there? Did they make an adjustment on the sideline? Did Pablo Nagamura let Oliveira know that there's an opportunity there? We'll see if they can find a couple more opportunities in and around the back four, so it's a little bit more direct in creating that goal than it's been now for Swope Park.
Wilson Harris, who had the brace against Charlotte, probably should have had a hat trick. He was denied in a 1v1 situation by Brandon Miller, and then it was Juan Kuzain who followed the play up and poked it right behind Brendan McDonough for the 3rd goal of the night over at the Sportsplex at Matthews, and Harris scoring his 9th goal of the season tonight. And levels things up. Park looking to make it 4 unbeaten. Of course, the clean sheet streak is broken. And this whole streak actually started after that 7-match losing streak.
You hear it all the time. It kind of sometimes sounds like coach talk, but when you go on a streak like that, you go back to basics, right? You go back to being organized. You go back to working defensively, because that's the easiest thing more often than not to correct. If you've got a healthy team, you've got the players, you've got the personnel, you work on your organization, you shut teams down, you keep yourself in a game as long as possible, then you try and make something happen on the attacking side of things.
Meanwhile, on the other side for Loudoun United, this is a story that they've seen and heard all too many times over the past month or so, especially. Early goal, and then seemingly that lead and the momentum falling by the wayside. Bustamante able to wiggle his way out of trouble. Now the question for Ryan Martin and his group is, how do they respond? And again, there's a yellow card is issued to Wilson Harris here. It seemed like a rather innocent foul, but Harris going into the book.
Yeah, I didn't think this one was going to be called a yellow card. Bustamante turns. He does a good job in the midfield. Wilson Harris catches him on the turn here. I don't know if he lashes out at him here. No, it's a simple foul. He does grab him with his arm. I think that's maybe what he's getting it for.
So Harris goes into the book twice in a matter of about 3 minutes or so. One for something good and one for something not so good. That clears it right to the feet of Harris. Hernandez. Picture perfect ball for Oliveira. He was the orchestrator of the penalty kick. Now gets it right back from Juan Cousin. Good ball towards the back post. Knotted away by Pivo Due, the skipper for Loudoun United on the night.
That's really good coordination there by Cousin, who started this play at midfield, and then Oliveira gets in behind Hunter Gorski. Can't find anyone on the end of the cross, but very nicely done in the build-up for Swope Park.
It's Riley driving forward. Touches it along. Segbers can't hang on to it. Good ball the other way for Gordon Wild. Seen this a couple of times where Swope Park give it away right at the edge of the penalty area. And Loudoun United try to expose them on the other end.
Had it been a better ball, Riley was the one who gave the ball away. That left center back spot was open. The ball was played a little bit too wide, but that was the area they were trying to exploit.
Segbers. A good one-time ball out for Felipe Hernandez. Ton of space on his left-hand side. Nobody making that run. Hernandez bends one in, looking for Segbers again. Brown spills it, but the foul's going to be called on Segbers.
This is a good run by Segbers. Again, he started this play at midfield down the left-hand side, plays it out wide, continues his run. Nice job by Callie Brown.
Intense stuff. Gordon Wild wants it on that left peg. Gets it around. The curling effort. Sensational again from Gordon Wild. A magical left peg. And it continues to be very, very fruitful for Loudoun United. It's 2-1 to the home side now, right before halftime.
An innocent ball played out here after the free kick. Gordon Wild finds himself the left footer inverted on the right-hand side, cuts across the top of the box. We're seeing more and more of this in the world of football these days, and absolutely nothing Max Trejo could do at that far post. All credit to Gordon Wild. He created the space. He knew exactly what he wanted to do. Knows that's the touch he has to shoot on, is able to bend it to that far post to put his side up 2-1. Now can they hold on here and get into the locker room with this score line here? But Gordon Wild, he has been on fire.
A boisterous brace for Gordon Wild inside of the first half. 6 goals on the season. Man who originally attended USC Upstate and then eventually transferred to Maryland. As looks like Nelson Martinez still struggling.
Yeah.
He might need an early substitution. Nelson Martinez hobbling off into the technical area. Just puts a little bit of a dampen on the Gordon Wild goal, but not too much, as Loudoun United lead 2-1 over Swope Park Rangers in the 44th. And as Tony said, just trying to get into the locker room with that advantage and then able to regroup and maybe reorganize tactically and figure out a way to get over the finish line in the second half. Elvis Amo, really positive here. Andrew Loudoun making a run into the box. Numbers arriving for Loudoun United. Amo, all the way towards the back stick. Griffin Yao is there. Good ball in for Bustamante. He can strike it from here. Back for Yao. He's taken down from about 27 yards out. That frustration starting to grow for Swope Park Rangers.
And all this being done here for Loudoun with 10 men. Nelson Martinez is out. They went into a 4-4-1. They dropped Loudoun into the midfield, and they were able to break out on the counter here. Another good opportunity.
2 minutes of stoppage time here in the first half. Last time Loudoun United lined up for a free kick and wound up in the back of the net. And we have Gordon Wild. Max Trejo awaits again. And this effort not nearly as convincing as the first. Looks like Ryan Martin is more than happy to finish off the first half with 10 men and try to figure out personnel-wise and maybe give them an opportunity for a proper warm-up. Stoppage time brought to you by Ortho Virginia. Wild, clever little move. It's a bit behind Griffin Yao. Torques his body to keep it in play though.
That's a good job here by Loudoun. They've been really sharp now with 10 men. Sometimes when you have 10 men, you know you have to occupy different spaces. You've got to work getting forward. Maybe a bit anxious here on this ball, but they have been sharp, sitting a little bit deeper, and able to get out a little bit on the break when the ball turns over.
Akhmatov. Felipe Hernandez. Lepley was asking for it. Wilson Harris trying to let it run through for Akhmatov as Loudoun United give it away in a poor area. Hernandez. Swope Park trying to muster up another equalizer right before the halftime whistle, and Wilson Harris is offside. And that should probably do it for the first half.
Nice job of this back four for Loudoun in the end of this first half to stay organized, stay in line, not allow that last action to happen for Swope Park Rangers.
Well, very professional first half from Loudoun United to get the opening goal inside of the first 15 minutes from Gordon Wild. Mark Segber's darting effort around Callie Brown forced a penalty. Wilson Harris converts, but then Gordon Wild again. And that is where we stand as both teams head into the dressing room. As we head to the halftime report, which is brought to you by the National Conference Center. 2-1 in favor of Loudoun over Swope Park Rangers. We'll be back in a moment. Halftime here in Leesburg, Virginia at Segra Field as Loudoun United with a 2-1 lead over Swope Park Rangers. We hope you're enjoying a beverage, a snack, what have you. And the National Conference Center, home of Loudoun United FC, is a corporate training facility in Leesburg, Virginia. It hosts over 14,000 individuals per month and comprises 265,000 square feet of meeting space. The National contains 250 conference rooms, an athletic facility, commissary, and 917 guest rooms. And that is where we are right now at the National Conference Center halftime report. And while I have U.S. Soccer Hall of Famer goalkeeper Tony Meola right next to me, it would be a really prudent time to take a look at some of the best goalkeepers over the entire USL Championship. We'll have a little fun here, Tony. Statistics alone, goalkeeper 1, 2, or 3 for goalkeeper of the year for you.
Well, I'm going to think in one of these, and I don't know I'm going to say Zach Loudoun, of course. The job that they've done seems to be the guy in that 13 clean sheets. I could be wrong there. And Matt Pickens is always in the conversation somewhere. A little bit lost for words on the third one here. There's a couple of candidates here. There's been some good goalkeeping throughout the season. Well,
Tony is completely blind heading into this, so why don't we go ahead and show Tony what he's won?
A little nervous here.
He won absolutely nothing.
But you got 2 of them.
You got 2 out of the 3.
That's pretty good, right?
Is that passing for you, about 66%?
Yeah, that's okay. I hope that's not my save percentage in my career. but yeah, blindly 2 for 3, I'll take it. John McCarthy, another one of Tampa Bay Rowdies, another great season. Tampa Bay's been outstanding really from week 1 in this season. They can make a run in the playoffs.
Well, everybody on this list, obviously a terrific goalkeeper in their own right, but Zach Loudoun of Phoenix Rising, of course, they get all of their plaudits for what they do on the offensive side of the ball, but Zach Loudoun is starting to earn a lot of credit for what he's done in between the sticks. And Phoenix is one of those teams that it's not like he's seeing minimal shots. Phoenix give up a lot of opportunities given the style of football that they play, and Zach has come up huge, a lot for them this season.
Yeah, anytime you're a team that likes to attack and go forward, you've got to give something up on the defensive end, and if you got to be solid in goal, if you're going to be successful, Zach Loudoun has been really a stonewall in the back for this Phoenix side, and it's really paid off for them. They've had an outstanding season.
The Montana man with 13 clean sheets, and of course Phoenix had their winning streak broken up against Fresno just a few nights ago. We're headed through halftime, brought to you by the National Conference Center. Let's check in with what's going on in the USL Championship and League One.
He's a winner, in for the goal!
Let's go with the left foot, Jamal Johnson!
Puts it in, what a goal!
Perfectly placed!
To splice this New York defense with a curling effort. That's incredible. What a goal by Knight. Johnson, though, going to hurry things up. Tenorio giving a blast. Goal!
Clever will take a shot. He fires it home for a classic.
Cicerone to the back post. Sliding it in. What a start for St. Louis. Tyler Blackwood.
Wharton and Espria in it as well. Williamson strikes and puts it in, a 4th for T2 on a beautiful strike.
Asante saved by Cochran.
And a save by Morton. Through and a diving stop.
Punched away by Laurel. Follow, kick save Laurel. And this. It's a hammer. Oh, that's an important intervention by Logan Ketterer.
Knocked on, Klaus fires, and back of the net. Paul Klaus. Final here, ball swept in. Headed on, up and in, and just like that, Toronto answers.
Ball played forward up the side. Moon trying to drop it back. Tries the left-footed shot and finds the back of the net. Nick Moon in stoppage time in the first half, breaking the deadlock. Rayo now for Rodriguez, going for that top corner. What a save by Silvestre. Through the midfield for Richmond. Calls for Wheeler Abanu, and a shot saved by Fitzgerald. Still around the box for Chattanooga. The shot by Caparelli's pushed aside by Herrera. Austin Amer.
Terrific stuff from the championship and, of course, League One. Tyler Terrence along with U.S. Soccer Hall of Famer Tony Meola. Let's check in with the USL Championship with some news and notes from around our wonderful league. And some big headlines. How about Alan Koch taking the Colorado Springs Switchbacks job after getting let go by FC Cincinnati after what was a woeful start to the Major League Soccer season? Has not gotten much better over there in Cincinnati. Pittsburgh River Hounds getting clear of a number of teams in the Eastern Conference as Bob Lilly has the River Rhinos firing on all cylinders. And a big Wednesday night soccer matchup between El Paso and Fresno. What do you think of Alan taking over for Colorado Springs?
Yeah, not surprised there. He had some success in this league with FC Cincinnati. He knows this league. He knows the players in this league. And he knows how to build a team in this league. Switchbacks obviously not having a great season, but Alan Koch should help him out in that area.
All right, we'll keep it moving, and we'll take a look at some big matchups in the Eastern Conference on the horizon this weekend. New York Red Bulls 2 and Charleston Battery. That's always a great matchup. But Tony, you and I have a terrific game on Saturday.
Forward.
Louisville City and Tampa Bay Rowdies.
Yeah, this is going to be a fun one here. It's a Louisville City team that obviously knows how to win a championship, trying to lock down a playoff spot here. Tampa Bay's already done that. That should be a fun one for us to sit back and watch some good players entertain us for 2 hours.
And then Pittsburgh and Indy 11 should be a wildly defensive battle between Bob Lilly and Martin Rennie. Both sides looking to punch their ticket, not only in the playoffs, of course, Pittsburgh have already done that, but even further than that, maybe a home game in the conference quarterfinals and beyond. North Carolina, Ottawa should be electric as well. Let's take a look at the table in the Eastern Conference at the moment. Not nearly as jumbled as the Western Conference as far as numbers 4 through 13, but numbers 1 through 5, I should say, only separated by about a point.
Yeah, this is going to be interesting going in the last portion of this season here. And Nashville, a team that has creeped up here. Tampa Bay's been at the top the entire season. We always see the Red Bulls at the top of these standings. It's been fun to watch, and there's a heck of a lot more to come in this Eastern Conference.
And a team that you don't see here, the Charleston Battery, they're in danger of not qualifying for the postseason for the first time ever in the modern era of the United Soccer League. So historic streak, very much on the cusp of being broken. We are moving right through halftime. Thanks for sticking with us. Second half just right around the corner. Don't move a muscle. Just about ready for the second half here at Segra Field. Tyler Terrence along with U.S. Soccer Hall of Famer Tony Meola. Thank you so much for tuning in on a Wednesday night in the USL Championships Eastern Conference. And we'll take a look at how the first half went down between Loudoun United and Swope Park Rangers. Ryan Martin signed with a 2-1 lead. And Tony, it was a really good start from Loudoun United, which we have seen over the past few games.
Yeah, bright start here. They get forward, Didn't think it was a foul initially on Oliveira, but Loudoun County draws one here just outside the box, and Gordon Wild knows exactly what he's looking to do with it. Bends it to that far post. Maybe a misstep to the left, as you can see right there from the goalkeeper, the youngster Max Trio, but make no mistake, Gordon Wild absolutely buries this one. Then there's an opportunity a bit later for Felipe Hernandez, just wide of the post here. Kelly Brand may have had it covered, but a sign of things to come here moving forward as ball turned over in transition. Griffin Yao gets down to the byline. It eventually ends up, he cuts this one back here. Ends up at the feet of Amo. His less preferred left foot, can't steer it on frame.
And then we would trade chances back and forth until this ball from Oliveira was just absolutely sensational. Segbers around Brown. Nothing that Brown could do about it but foul Segbers, and a penalty awarded to Swope Park, and Wilson Harris buries it. Calm, cool, and collected.
Yeah, takes a look at the goalkeeper. Goalkeeper goes one way. He slips it to his left here. And there's a simple ball played around the corner here. The rest of the work is done by Gordon Wild. He cuts two defenders inside, knows again exactly what he's looking to do. This time goes low to that far corner. Good effort there by Max Trejo. Makes a good read on it, just can't get his fingertips on it. That puts Loudoun up 2-1.
So Gordon Wild with a classy brace in the first half, and Loudoun have their 2-1 lead. They had a 2-1 lead against Bethlehem over the weekend, but they were not able to get it done. Or pardon me, on Wednesday. As Cudi Pietro is going to come on here at halftime, and he'll replace, of course, Nelson Martinez, who came off at around the 45-minute mark, and Loudoun played down a man for the entirety of the 2 minutes that were added on by the referee, and Adoyat Sem is going to come on as well, so a double switch for Loudoun United as Adoyat Sem comes on and replaces Pibo Due. So an interesting double switch for Ryan Martin, just 45 minutes in, but a lot of minutes and legs to be managed here. Let's see how it affects the home side moving forward in the second half, as it looks like Natalie Simon is ready to go. We hope you are all at home as well. And we're officially underway in Leesburg, Virginia from Segbers Field in the second half. Again, Tyler Terrence along with U.S. Soccer Hall of Famer Tony Miola. 2-1 in favor of Loudoun as we move forward. Gordon Wild with a brace. Wilson Harris with the lone goal for Swope. Let's see what the second 45 minutes have in store. Griffin Yao penetrating. Wants to get it on that right foot. Now finds Gordon Wild. He wants it on his left. Still driving. And actually has it taken away by Akhmatov, who was on his backside when he did so.
Like he may have had Amo to his right-hand side here, but as you mentioned, he was looking to try and cut that back to his left foot. As they turn one over here in the middle third of the field, and you can see some intent to get numbers forward here for Loudoun.
Loudoun now wide for Griffin Yao. 1v1 with Jalen Lindsay. Yao went for the curler, deflects off of Juan Kuzain. And a corner kick coming up for Loudoun United, who are picking up right where they left off in the first half.
Good job by Kuzain at coming in and doubling down to help Jalen Lindsay on this right-hand side. Griffin Yao, the youngster, cutting in onto his right foot, was looking to bend that to the far post, but good defending, good team defending by Swope Park here.
Kick comes in, not a bad ball. Header won by Loudoun, and it's just over the ball. It's actually won by Shane Witt, 24-year-old from Akron. Actually attended University of Akron, then transferred to Pitt, where he was a Panther and finished out his collegiate career. Tony, try to put yourself in the mind of Paulo Nagamura. What might be the message in the dressing room at halftime?
Well, again, you've got to be better in that middle third of the field. You've got to hold the ball up a little bit. The first part of possession has been good. The second part has been okay. But you've got to advance through that middle third of the field and get numbers forward. And you do that by holding the ball a little bit longer. They've given too many balls away.
Griffin Yao wins the ball back. Strong on it. Loudoun. Bit of a tight window to try to thread that through. Elvis Amo, though, good defensive pressure. Good touch in the middle of the park from Cudi Pietro. Now it's Felipe Hernandez moving forward. Segmer's to his right, as well as Jalen Lindsay. Finds the ladder. Hernandez just dinks it in, looking for Wilson Harris. Good cover from Loudoun United defensively, but a corner kick coming up for Swope Park.
Good idea here by Hernandez, but a tough ball he tried to play into Wilson Harris. It had to be inch perfect, but good job here of coming across for Firth.
Juan Kuzain on the corner. Felipe Hernandez is short. Probably just to draw out an extra defender from Loudoun United more than anything. Kuzain. It's a good ball, but nobody attacking it for Swope.
Yeah, no runners. Everybody standing on a white jersey, standing around in two different areas in the box.
Big ball the other way for Gordon Wild. He's 1v1 with Oliveira. Defensive help arriving for Swope. Gordon Wild was trying to get back to his left, and Oliveira knew exactly where he wanted to go, but Oliveira commits the foul. Tony, it didn't look like you necessarily agreed with the call.
Yeah, this is another one where the defender gets his body in front of the attacking player when he pushes the ball around. It's what you teach defenders to do. Does he get his arms up? No. Maybe he cuts across his path. He's got to be able to occupy some space. That's almost the identical foul on the other side of the field. That was called when Amo tried to dribble him, eventually led to the free kick that Gordon Wild buried to make it 1-0.
Wild, who already has 2 goals tonight. He's got a terrific left peg.
Looks like someone's down here at the top of the box. Referee not seeing it.
And now she sees it. Now she'll wave on the medical attention that's needed for, it looks like, Luis Oliveira. And we're being told that there's a substitute ready to go for Paulo Nagamura. And it's going to be the Brazilian Alexander who will come on and replace Luis Oliveira here. So a bizarre turn of events for the visitors, as Oliveira, who's really been sensational tonight for Swope, at least on the offensive side of the ball. A couple of times have been beaten, but that's the give and take with this style of play that Swope Park has implemented. And as Alexander comes on in the 51st, and you can see that look of frustration from the Argentinian, who's replaced by the Brazilian.
Yeah, leads you to believe maybe he pulled up a little bit on that foul when he was going down, trying to stay up.
Gordon Wild whips one in. It's a great ball and a kung fu effort from Colin Verfurth. It'll be a corner kick for Loudoun United, but that ball into the corridor of uncertainty from Gordon Wild was delicious.
Yeah, and there were 2 options at this near post. Amo and Verfurth, who eventually gets to it. You see Amo at the first one there. Absolutely nobody marking here. A little bit fortunate for Swope Park Rangers here to not concede a third. Great free kick played in by Gordon Wild. Good runs. Couldn't steer it on frame, but they do earn a corner.
Corner whipped in. Riley wins it. Wild again. Can't get it past Jalen Lindsay. And it sparks a counterattack the other way. Crunching challenge, but the foul is called. Andrew Loudoun was responsible for the foul. Felipe Hernandez on the turn, forced to go negative.
Yeah, that's a good job by Loudoun. I'm just thinking the same thing you're talking about here, forcing them back. They were 30 yards from goal. Loudoun didn't give them any opportunity to play penetrating passes into forward players.
They've recycled and now opened up a bit more space, and Loudoun again does a good job of getting numbers back behind the ball. Kuzain. Kave Rad. Encouraging ball, but broken up by Hunter Gorski. A little Swope Park side shuffle from Akhmatov.
lot of people standing around in advanced positions here for Swope.
Wilson Harris tried to lay it off. That's not the first time tonight that he's tried for that little clever one-touch flick that has not come off properly. Jalen Lindsey now. Long sustained possession from Paulo Nagamura's group. As Lindsey bodies off Gorski. Segbers. Gorski an acrobatic clearance.
It's a good job here by Loudoun. Shuffling east and west here, as we call it, really making it difficult for Swope Park to find answers in the attacking third.
Alexander getting around the end and forcing Elvis Amo to commit the foul.
And there's one of your answers. Alexander, you know he's going to try and take you on with that left foot. He loves getting at defenders. Amo has to foul him here, as it looked like he was about to turn the corner on Amo. This ball comes from some patience from Sporting, a little step over. Amo first gets his body on him, and then Alexander draws the foul.
Alexander on loan from Atletico Paredes. It's been a really solid addition to the Swope Park side. Akhmatov whips it in, and Callie Brown forced to get a touch to it.
Callie Brown does a good job here, but there's no runs at that near post. Everyone's kind of standing around, just trying to step in front of players. There was one run at that back post, but you'll see this first post here as Akhmatov tries to steer it on frame. There's two runs at that back post, near post. They'll need somebody to kind of open up some space, maybe get a flick on. I think Akhmatov made his intentions clear about what he was trying to do there.
Segbers cleans it up for Swope Park, who have really been putting the clamps down on Loudoun United. And the commentators curse in full effect there as Bustamante comes away with it. And Loudoun will try to take the air out of this game a little bit, as it has been all Swope Park Rangers more or less since the 47-48 minute mark. Gordon Wild stripped from behind, but illegally by Felipe Hernandez. And Shane Witt. Tucker Lepley cutting inside. Akhmatov threading one through. Felipe Hernandez will be able to get there. First time delivery. Not a bad ball. Segbers brings it down, tries to shoot it on frame, but blocked in front by Elvis Amo. Lindsey now. He dinks one towards the back post.
There's really good pressure here by Swope Park. A little lazy shot in the end, but they were able to get numbers forward because they possessed it. They took their time getting forward. They had runners in advance of the ball. It eventually came out wide. And Pablo Nagamura will be happy with that sequence. We need a bit more of that. And then when it does come out a second time, can you be a bit more patient? You already have numbers forward. Now repressed after the first cross. You've won it back.
Big ball the other way, handled by Camden Riley. Tries to clear it, but kept in play by Loudoun. Elvis Amo, the Ghanaian. Nice little turn, but didn't have enough mustard on that shot. And collected by Max Trejo.
Yeah, Riley got himself in a bit of trouble. Turned the wrong way. Maybe should have turned outside, maybe played it wide. Ends up at the feet of Amo, and as you mentioned, can't get enough on the shot to make the goalkeeper work all that much.
Swope Park wanted a foul in the middle of the field, but Natalie Simon didn't feel like there was enough in it for her to blow the whistle. Swope Park franchise that has had 45 or more points in every year of existence up until 2019. Of course, we're back-to-back USL Cup finalists in 16 and 17, following New York Rebels 2 and Louisville City, as Segber's breaking free. A couple of nice step overs. Segber's going on frame, or at least trying to steer it there. Took a deflection on the way. And a corner kick for the visitors once more.
Well, Segber's reads this one, picks it off in midfield, and as the back four continues to retreat, he just keeps going forward. One step over here, and this ball gets blocked. Good job by Shane Witt to block it. Now for a corner kick for Swope Park.
On Kuzane's corner, driven in. It's a header unbeknownst to Loudoun United that cleared it away. Alexander back from where it came. But too short and allows Hunter Gorski to get ahead to it. Griffin Yao dips a toe in and allows Akhmatov to get there. Good defensive play from Loudoun, has been really active off the ball tonight. Di Pietro into space for Gordon Wild. Griffin Yao making a run up the middle of the field. It's a long for Yao, but too close and too tightly angled to Max Trejo.
You can see what Wild was trying to do there. Good run by Griffin Yao. The ball was played straight, maybe needed a bit of a bend, but it was a tough ball. The weight would have had to been perfect to see a connection on the end of it. Max Trejo with a good read coming out.
Di Pietro gives it away. One of the two substitutes at halftime brought on by Ryan Martin. Ian Adoya Sem. And now we're gone here in Leesburg, Virginia. Gordon Wild with a brace. Wilson Harris with a goal from the spot. And Loudoun United in possession of a 2-1 lead. Tyler Terrence along with U.S. Soccer Hall of Famer Tony Miola. 3 points up for grabs that both sides would love to have. Probably won't make or break their playoff hopes, as both hopes have been shattered at this point as Alexander sends one up and over the crossbar. But always something to play for when you throw on the kit. And of course always playing for next year and what that might look like as far as the rosters are concerned.
We've got a lot of guys in this field that want to be in that first team, and these are your minutes to prove that you deserve to first get into training with the first team and eventually get on the field with the first team. You can't take any of these minutes for granted.
Foul called against Amo. Who's impressed you the most tonight?
I think Bustamante in the middle of the field has been pretty impressive. Too bad Nelson Martinez. I thought he and Martinez had a good partnership, breaking things up in the middle of the field. Too bad he had to go out with that injury. But I think Bustamante certainly. Juan Kuzane in the middle of the field as well for Swope Park has found little pockets of space to operate in. As we see him here open in the middle of the field again. He has one of those players that has that sense to sit in that hole.
Alexander looking for Segbers again. Bustamante got a touch to it. Hernandez scuffed the shot, and he knows how big of an opportunity that was.
What an opportunity this is as it squirts to him. Ball gets played out wide. Good patience by Swope and ends up out wide with Alexander. Somehow gets through here to Felipe Hernandez and certainly doesn't get all of it here. Yeah, he'll want this one back for sure. I don't know if he was trying to pull it back or play it to that first post and bend it around. Either way, he didn't find the middle of it. Ends up scuffing it into the ground. Good opportunity for Swope.
Wild along for Amo. Some step overs. Creates a little bit of space. Elvis Amo still with it. Slid it through for Di Pietro, who ends up committing the foul. But Elvis Amo with some clever footwork and just totally opened up the Swope Park defense in tight quarters.
Yeah, this eventually ends up with this foul in the end, but you'll see this back forward. They're all ball watching here, looking at the ball. They don't see runners that are coming in. And Mo has a good touch in here, as you mentioned. Di Pietro. Jalen Lindsay comes across and makes a play, earns a foul. It's a bad giveaway here.
Gordon Wild wants to get it back on that left foot, sizing up Riley. Drives to the byline on his right, and as a result goes out of play. And a goal kick coming for Max Trejo.
You're starting to see a little bit of heavy legs in here, midweek game. Swope played on the weekend. Have to travel here. Sometimes the game, some of these little short passes get a little sloppy like that one.
Trejo forced to get rid of it. Quick restart. Di Pietro. Now Jalen Lindsay. Back for Hunter Gorski. Firth looking to connect the dots. Gorski into space for Di Pietro. Youngster along the byline. Great little shimmy. Squares it back. Griffin Yao is there, but a good defensive play inside of Swope Park's penalty area.
I think get a look there at Di Pietro's future and what he looks like as a player. He's a crafty youngster, good with the ball at his feet. I think probably feels more comfortable when he's getting pressured by a defender and he has the ball at his feet. He's able to turn the corner, nicely done.
Meanwhile, here comes Swope Park on the other end, threatening. Alexander's cross blocked, it looked like, by a handball from Adoya Sim. That's at least what Alexander, the Brazilian, is saying. And it opens up a counterattack on the other end for Loudoun United. Gordon Wild stopped initially by Riley, now gets around him. Trying to put on the moves. Riley again sticks a big toe in. Wild felt like the last touch coming off the big defender. It was. And a corner kick coming up for Loudoun United.
Well, there was a shout there for a handball, as you mentioned. This ball gets played out wide. Alexander finds it here, and as he tries to cross it, yeah, it could be. It was close to the body, though. For Doyatsem.
Well, it's the billion-dollar question. Is that an actual position?
Does anyone really know?
A header right on frame at Max Trejo. If that's anywhere else, it's in the back of the net.
Well, he got all of that one. He just hit it right at the goalkeeper here, but good ball played in. I'm not a fan of zonal marking because I think you allow players to run into the zone, and as you saw there, Riley had two players to deal with. Amo was the first to get to it. And you said it, if he hits it anywhere else on frame, that's a goal. Good reaction by the youngster, Max Trejo.
Wilson Harris with his back to goal loses it. Griffin Yao stays on his feet. These two players going at it right here, a combined age of 33.
Doesn't make us feel old at all, does it? I love seeing these young players play. I love seeing them just try to express themselves, learn the game. It's the only way you're going to get better. You're going to make mistakes. You have to live with that. Got to understand the threshold of how far you can go with some of these plays, and they certainly are fun to watch.
Di Pietro gets absolutely drilled from behind. A late whistle from Natalie Simon, but it's most certainly the right call. A thumbs up for Ryan Martin, although Akhmatov is not exactly pleased about it. As Kevin Paredes is getting set to come on and make his professional debut, just 16 years of age. Ryan Martin told us he was going to get a run tonight, wasn't sure when, but that he most certainly was going to come off the bench. In a great moment for the youngster coming on here in the 67th minute, and he will replace Andrew Loudoun in hopes of trying to help Loudoun United lock up their first win in a few weeks.
Well, this is always exciting. Your first opportunity to get on the field as a pro. As you mentioned, 16 years old, coming out of the DC United Academy. We'll get a look at Paredes here.
And St. Pedro coming on and replacing Tucker Lepley here in the 68th as well. So Paulo Nagamura wanting to inject some fresh legs into the situation, and Zé Pedro certainly has those and then some. He put on quite the performance against the Charlotte Independents and has been one of the go-to players for Paulo Nagamura in what is more or less a rotating carousel of lineups. As Loudoun United, another decent opportunity here, very similar to what we saw about 15 minutes ago from Wild. Another good ball. Trejo spills it. Cu Di Pietro trickles it home, and Loudoun United double their lead. A big moment for Cu Di Pietro, and an even bigger one for Loudoun United as they take a 3-1 lead.
Well, Gordon Wild has been absolutely incredible in free kicks all night. He's put balls, obviously he's got his goal, he's put balls in dangerous areas. Marking's poor here by Swope. Goalkeeper comes out. Did Cu Di Pietro get a piece of this one before it gets to the goalkeeper? May have gotten a touch, but he continues to stay with the play. It ends up at his feet. He has to go back, athletically get it. Trejo tries to close him down here, but it eventually squirts past Camden Riley, who's trying to make a play on the goal line. Must be said, marking is poor to allow this to happen in the first place by Swope. A good reaction by that man, Cu Di Pietro, to make it 3-1.
Scores his first professional goal, and it might just be exactly the insurance that Loudoun United needs to dispatch Swope Park Rangers for a second time this season. Only time will tell, but right now it's looking very good for Ryan Martin's side. Swope Park have battled back once tonight and leveled things up in one, but this is a horse of a different color at the moment, down 2 goals with about 20 minutes remaining.
Well, Pablo Nagamura get an idea of the character of these young players. They've had their struggles on the road, just getting their first win. Last time out. This will be a good test here, but credit to Loudoun. They've been pretty solid the entire night as we see the youngster on the ball for the first time.
Paredes gets it back from Antonio Bustamante, if not for broken up by Akhmatov. He gives it right back to Adoya Tsemdo, and those heavy legs and tired minds, Tony, I think becoming more and more evident as the game goes on.
Yeah, it's when you got to simplify it. You got to keep the ball a little bit. Even though you're down 3-1, get your rest with the ball right here until you find some energy as a group and get forward.
Gorski to handle, but gets rid of it and avoids conceding the corner. A ton of offense being generated by either side, but it's been efficient for Loudoun United. Alexander. Cross takes a deflection. It might fall for Segbers. That was bizarre, but almost ended up working out to perfection for Swope Park.
Yeah, Alexander's injected some energy into this side on that left-hand flank for Swope. Obviously likes the ball at his feet, likes to take players on. Saw him have a shot from distance before.
Much work to do for Callie Brown on the night. Alexander skipping away from a couple of challenges. Akhmatov. Cu Di Pietro to it. Pedro, first time effort. Brown saves it, probably didn't have to.
Tricky one. It comes through a bunch of players from distance. You have to wait until it clears all the defenders before you can really make a move. If you make a move too early, Tyler, and that ball gets deflected, it's one of those painful ones, you know, that rolls into the other side of the goal. So you've got to wait till it clears that back four, even though there's not a lot of pace on it. You've got to be sure it gets by everybody. As you mentioned, it may have been wide there, but Not a chance Callie Brown was willing to take. You see Alexander drawing another foul here.
A night that Cudi Pietro will never forget, scoring his first professional goal. As Elvis Amo takes it away, just curls it into the path of Gordon Wild, who goes for it on the first time. That was the right idea, but just the execution was off.
I like the thought process here by Gordon Wild. Quick thinking. Doesn't hit it obviously exactly like he wants to, but clear idea of what he was trying to do. He was decisive. Managers will always take that quick decision, have an idea of what you're trying to do, and then eventually you've got to execute it.
Zé Pedro. Big looping ball that has snow coming down on it, and Alexander can't hang on to it. Segra, with its industry-leading customer service and one of the East Coast's largest fiber networks, is powering organizations of all sizes with state-of-the-art voice, data, and internet services. Whether you're a municipality, a large business, or a fledgling startup, Segra knows you can't afford to be down. Their fast, reliable, and secure solutions keep you up and running and ahead of the pack. Segbers lays it off. Alexander on the first time takes a deflection, and Wilson Harris has to be offside, and he is. Rocks the woodwork despite the offside call.
Can Swope put something together here? Can they put a couple sequences together? Maybe on a restart, can they find one to get themselves back into the game here? Good job by Loudoun, taking the air out of the ball. For the most part, allowing passes sideline to sideline from Swope.
Loudoun will move to 27 points on the season if this holds. Only two sides in the East mathematically eliminated from playoff contention at the moment, Charlotte and Hartford. Zé Pedro, little stutter step, now going for it. Bustamante got in the way.
He's looking for that same sort of move we saw in the first half from Gordon Wild, cutting it onto his left foot, bending it to that far post. This time, though, he had Jalen Lindsay making that run around the corner, and you saw him after the shot was deflected. And say, "I saw you. Apologies, I was trying to make a different play." Doesn't help when you make a 70-yard run and you don't get it. Eventually, you'll stop making those runs.
About 15 minutes remaining. Cudi Pietro's first professional goal has made the gap that much wider between these two sides that were only separated by a goal back on June 5th. Zé Pedro looking to run right at Hunter Gorski. Nice little through ball for Jalen Lindsay. Positive first touch, lashes it across, but nobody there. It's off the post and put out of play by Loudoun United. Adoy Sem was right on the scene. A corner kick coming up. Great work on the right-hand side, but nobody home.
Yeah, this is good coordination, good running in the box here by Jalen Lindsay. Adoy Sem tries to clear it. He clears it off his own goal post here, and it luckily comes right back to his feet. Just no runners. Look at that back post. Everyone's open. There are only two guys in the box, and you can see players throwing their arms up in the air. Akhmatov wondering at the top of the box where all the runners are.
Alexander lost one towards the back post. Everybody hitting the deck, including the advertisement stanchions.
This ball comes out to Alexander here, and he's looking for that back post. Gets too much air under it here, and you see a couple, as you mentioned, bodies flying all around. No one had a chance at that one, and it ends up out of play.
Callie Brown not happy with it, although it went about 55, 60 yards.
Yeah, I think he was looking for his teammate on the right-hand side. The youngster Paredes was wide open. He hits it down the middle of the field. That's probably what he wasn't happy about.
Akhmatov, bit of a miscue there in the middle of the park. Wins it back, though. Trying to go back for Wilson Harris, and that's sort of where Swope Park have been let down the entire night. That final ball has been missing. Elvis Amos somehow gets it through the legs of Alexander. Pushed along, Paredes, a good ball. Gordon Wild now on his right peg, lofts it in. Elvis Amos going for the acrobatic finish, and Max Trejo collects it.
He almost pulled that one off. It's just a bit too far behind him. He's able to steer it on frame, but easy for Max Trejo in the end.
Jalen Lindsay curls one in, but secondary ball, nobody was there for Swope Park, and Adoyat Sem able to restart things as Hunter Gorski brings it down. Zay Pedro stumbled on his way to pressure the ball, and that opened up a little bit of space here for Loudoun United as Elvis Amos galloping into it. Paredes in his professional debut, finding Griffin Yao. He goes for the chip, and Trejo makes a spectacular save. So intuitive from Griffin Yao, even better from Trejo. Excellent football from both 17-year-olds.
I love it from the youngster. Had a clear idea of what he was trying to do. He knew he wanted to try and chip this one over Trejo. Thought Paredes would take his defender on 1v1, but Griffin Yao tries to find that far post. Good reaction by Trejo to make a play. Good footwork going back, putting it over the bar.
Gordon Wild, a little bit too much on that one. Yao driving again. Hooked away by Alexander. Adoyat Sem in for Di Pietro, but Camden Riley read it well. Dare I say that was Clint Dempsey-esque from his days at Fulham.
Yeah, you can say that. That's the kind of imagination Clint Dempsey had all the time, always looking to do something spectacular. Difference is Clint Dempsey's pulled it off, did pull it off time and time again in his career to make him the player he was. I love the imagination by Griffin Yao, so we're going to see a yellow card here.
Hunter Gorski goes into the book in the 81st.
Here's the foul. Zay Roberto gets around him here, grabs his jersey. Easy one for the referee.
And the imagination is obviously something you can't teach. Is it something that you can learn or watch or try to just absorb at a young age?
I think you have to just have the guts to try things. You know, everyone sees this stuff on television all the time, and you see great players doing it. You have to have the guts to try it. You have to have the skill, no doubt.
There's Jalen Lindsay dinking one towards the back post, but again, nobody arriving late for Swope Park. Elvis Amos' clearance is not his best, but it'll stay with Swope.
And as I mentioned earlier in the game with a player like Griffin Yao, you're eventually going to understand the parameters of when you try things and when you don't. There's moments in the game where it's probably better to be a little bit safer with the ball, but I'd rather see a guy that's kind of overboard, trying things, especially at a young age. The rest they'll figure out.
Decker comes on here in the final moments. All substitutes have been exhausted on either side. Decker, 24 years of age, from Manahawkin, New Jersey. As Jalen Lindsay again, his delivery too close to Callie Brown, and he's able to collect. Decker made 3 stops in his collegiate career. Started off at UConn as a Husky, then became a Cardinal over at the University of Louisville, and finished up as a Scarlet Knight at Rutgers.
It's pretty well traveled. 3 great programs.
Yao cuts it back on his left, trying to slip it through for Kevin Paredes, who was looking for his first professional goal in his debut, simply would not be, or at least yet. Firth knocks it away.
You see Swope throwing more numbers forward here, getting forward a bit quicker. You're going to expose yourself, but you want to get yourself back into the game here. You got to find a goal.
Two other games that were going on tonight and are actually still going on. Atlanta United 2 beating Indy 11 right now in the 79th minute by a score of 2-1. More on that in a moment as Griffin Yao just waltzing into the penalty area, and finally Jalen Lindsay stepping to him. And a corner kick coming up for Loudoun United. And Indy 11 in the heat of that top 5 playoff race in the Eastern Conference cannot afford to drop points, let alone to Atlanta United 2, who are towards the bottom of the Eastern Conference barrel. And Tulsa Roughnecks in San Antonio engaged in a shootout round now, 3-3 in the 52nd minute. Lots of defense being played over in the heart of the country in Tulsa. Good move from Bustamante, still with it. Wants to pull the trigger, tripped up from behind, and Natalie Simon points to the spot again. This time in favor of Loudoun United. Bustamante did all the legwork, gets tripped up from behind, and Loudoun United will have an opportunity to add insult to injury.
Well, he's been really good here, and Bustamante, as he turns the corner here on the byline, gets to the middle of the box and cuts back onto his right, outside of his right foot here, and just a bit sloppy on the foul here. Once again, Bustamante pushes it away from the defender, looking for a pass. Wilson Harris clips him. Referee Natalie Simon quick with the whistle here. Gordon Wild will try and make it a hat trick.
Gordon Wild for number 3 on the night. You betcha. It's a first career hat trick for Gordon Wild. It's been his night from start and now until finish. Loudoun United lead at 4-1 in the 86th.
Well, it's been that kind of night for Gordon Wild. He steps up here, calm as you will, with the penalty kick. Goalkeeper goes one way, he goes the other way. This goal is made by Bustamante when he turns the corner and draws this foul, but Gordon Wild from the spot makes no mistake about it here. Trejo goes to his right, the ball goes to his left. Gordon Wild, a night he'll remember here, getting his first hat trick.
Well, Ryan Martin has been desperately looking to his older guys, and on a team that's littered with 16 and 17-year-olds, a 23-year-old in Gordon Wild is considered a resident grandfather, and he has stepped up in a big way for Loudoun United tonight against Swope Park.
Well, they've been good tonight, Loudoun. They've done all things that Ryan Martin will be able to go back and look at videotape, cut up and say, these are the positives. This is what we need to do moving forward. There's a lot to build on from tonight.
Shane Witt can't get there. Segber's trying to peel it back for an on-rushing Ethan Decker, and one goes out for a corner kick for Swope Park, who are trying to at least pull a couple of back, if not one here. Shane Witt coming up a little bit lame after that play, and Griffin Yao asking for medical attention to come on for Witt.
Yeah, this doesn't look like a cramp, or you'd ask one of your teammates maybe to try and help you get it out here. Well, maybe it is a cramp. He was holding the back of that knee. It's the first indication, right, of a cramp. What I always say, they never get any better as the game goes on, right? You try and manage them, but they always seem to creep back in. And
I'll tell you what, that is a deep stretch. It looks like he's about to break his toes off. Stampede have certainly done their part tonight. Shane Witt will get help to his feet. He and Colin Verfurth have locked down the back line for Loudoun United, which has looked a lot more sharp than in recent weeks.
They've been solid tonight in the back.
Well, substitutes have been used, so if Shane Witt cannot continue, then Loudoun United will play down to 10 men, and that shouldn't be a problem with a 3-goal lead with a few minutes remaining.
Let's see how they adjust this defensively here. Maybe Hunter Gorski going to the middle of the field. He's got so much experience. He started out on the right tonight. He's now playing on the left.
Wild getting away from the opposition. Trying to thread one through. Ethan Decker. Alexander. Can Swope grind one out. Decker felt he was fouled. Hernandez had it blocked off the line. Griffin Yao somehow came away with it. He felt he was fouled, pleading his case to Natalie Simon. Falls on deaf ears. Decker. And the foul committed by Griffin Yao as he does that more out of frustration than anything. And how about frustration on the part of Ethan Decker as tempers flaring in the final moments of this one. Griffin Yao in the middle of it, as is Elvis Hamo.
You may see Decker here get a red card after this one's all said and done, and they clean up the mess here.
Natalie Simon has totally removed herself from the situation.
She's keeping a lookout for what's happening. She'll get some information in her ear. If Decker did get his hands to the throat on that two-handed push, it was silly, it must be said, by Griffin Yao. Well, I'm not sure about.
Well, it's a red card for Pietro. Cannot believe it.
Yeah.
And it's one for Ethan Decker as well. That's the one that we expected. Now make it 4 games in a row for Loudoun United with a red card. They were almost home free.
So you see initially here the foul. Griffin Yao was unhappy he got the first foul. There's a yellow card there, and there's where, yeah, there's a red card there for Pietro. You can plead your innocence all you want, but the play's already been stopped. Hit a player in the head now. There's the first red card, and there's the second one there on Decker. It's too bad this game really didn't have this indication that this was going to happen. I know there's frustration at being down 4-1, but Pietro has to be a bit smarter in that moment. Again, you talk about learning moments. That's one of them right here. It's a harsh one, but I think the referee gets it right in the end. When you see it that second time, the one on Decker I thought was an easy call for the referee.
Like you said, Tony, it seems so bizarre that the game got to that level, but if you kick somebody in the head with the ball, it doesn't matter if the game's 8-0. It's always going to reach
someone's not going to be happy, right, in the end. But I didn't get the sense as this game was playing out that we'd get to that moment.
So Theodore Pietro on a night where he scores his first professional goal also receives a red card, as that free kick was always going wide.
Well, good night overall for Loudoun. Some things to clear up. Ryan Martin will have a discussion, as you just mentioned, about these red cards, right? Got to keep players on the field.
2 minutes of stoppage time brought to you by Ortho Virginia. So a slight damper on what has otherwise been a terrific night for Loudoun United. Meanwhile, for Swope Park Rangers, they'll regroup as their 3-match unbeaten streak comes to a close. Their clean sheet streak obviously broken up in the first 15 minutes by Gordon Wild, who followed it up with 2 more goals. Pietro gets his first professional goal, and Loudoun United cruise to a 4-1 win. This young side continues to have its ups and downs, but a big up tonight as this one falls for Elvis Hamo. 10v10 and a lot of space to play. Griffin Yao wants to add a 5th. Slides it along. Elvis Hamo couldn't get there. Chance if we want 5 from the Stampede. Segbers. Not exactly sure who that was intended for. Jalen Lindsay able to find Segbers. Sent it across. Took a deflection. Loudoun United can get rid of it. Sem wins it, and that is going to do it. Loudoun United come away with a very convincing 4-1 win. Gordon Wild win buck wild tonight on Swope Park. Puts in a hat trick, and it's a big 3 points for Ryan Martin's group, who have been struggling over the past few weeks with losses, with disciplinary issues. The latter didn't seem to fade away, but they get their win. A career night for Gordon Wild, a first career goal for Theodore Kudi-Pietro, as well as a first red card, but let's just hope that that's the least of his worries, as we'll take a look at the full-time highlights presented by Segra. Tony, it was a good start for Loudoun.
Yeah, no doubt about it. Amo draws a foul here on Oliveira. Gordon Wild, absolutely stunning free kick, bends it to the far post, makes it 1-0. That was the start of what would be a pretty good night for number 6. Eventually, Swope got into the game here. Oliveira with a ball around the corner for Segbers. There's the buried penalty kick to make it 1-1 from Wilson Harris. But then from here, this man once again cuts onto his left foot and bends it far post. Gordon Wild makes it 2-1, his second of the night here. This is an outstanding goal. Absolutely nothing Trejo could do in Swope Park's goal here. The youngster made a good effort for it, but Gordon Wild was too good here. And then a little sloppy marking in the box for Swope. Ended up the feet of Kudi-Pietro, and he scores his first professional goal, squeaks this one in. That made it 3-1, and it was really all Loudoun from here.
See the reaction from Kudi-Pietro and what that goal means to him, scoring it on the professional stage for the first time. The foul on Bustamante, the finish from Gordon Wild to finish off a career night. And we'll take a look at the full-time stats, which are also presented by Segra. And we talked about how neither keeper really had to work all that hard, especially Callie Brown. Max Trejo had to make a couple of big saves, but really, for Swope Park, for a team that usually is so efficient, this was not their night.
Yeah, and Swope, you see the possession was in their favor, and you know the possession was more in their half of midfield, and certainly they want to be a little bit more dangerous in that attacking third of the field. They'll work on that for sure, but a good night for Loudoun.
Well, for Loudoun United, this was the first of 5 home games, the first of 6 out of 7 to wrap up the 2019 campaign, their inaugural season, and certainly a good way to kick off the homestand. A hat trick for Gordon Wild, and then of course the first career goal from Theodore Kudi-Pietro wrapped up the night for the home side here in Leesburg, Virginia. For Swope Park Rangers, they're going to have to regroup for the end of the campaign as well after a 3-game unbeaten streak. For our entire crew, my broadcast partner Tony Miola, Tyler Terrence saying so long for now, and thanks for tuning in.
This copyrighted telecast of the United Soccer League Championship cannot be retransmitted, rebroadcast, or reproduced without the expressed written consent of the United Soccer League Championship.